Howdy folks, Marvin Forte here, KFNW Director and one of the directors of the Native Watercraft No Limit Big Bass Power Hour. We are here tonight to talk about Saturday's event up at Potholes Reservoir, the Native Watercraft No Limit Big Bass Power Hour. We had 80 anglers in attendance, over 300 fish caught. It was a great event. A lot of good largemouth and some pretty good smallmouth as well that were caught. I've got a couple of guests here tonight to talk to. We've got our No Limit winner and our overall Big Bass winner. So we're going to talk to both of those guys and find out how they got it done. Thanks so much to all of our sponsors, our host cities. You can see them listed here at the top of the screen. And down at the bottom of the screen, we've got all of our great sponsors. Oops, I just clicked on the wrong thing. We've got 13 Fishing, Crush City, both Rapala brands, Suffix/VMC, also a Rapala brand, Newport Vessels, RoboHawk, Ducket Fishing, Yak Attack, Boggs Footwear, and Discount Tackle. Thanks so much to all of those sponsors. We could not put on this series of events without you. This was the third Native event this year. We've got some more coming up. We've got two coming up next weekend. Saturday, Marv Goda will be the tournament director for the Native Watercraft event on Lake Berryessa in California. And then on Sunday, Zoltan Simone will be our TD that day at Lake Havasu in Arizona. I used to live in Arizona, love to fish Lake Havasu, so it's kind of near and dear to my heart. I would love to have gone down and been there for that event, but I just couldn't swing it. But I know it'll be a great event. Again, smallmouth and largemouth, both of those fisheries, and spotted bass even in Lake Berryessa some. And I think the smallmouth definitely will make a big appearance at Lake Havasu. I think you'll see some great fish caught. Good time of year to be there as well. All right, without further ado, let me bring on our No Limit winner. This event was a dual event with KFNW, the tournament series that I run. We operate in Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. So we double dipped on this event. We had anglers fishing in both. Most of the anglers fished in both events, but not all. And this first angler that won the No Limit is a longtime KFNW angler. He lives in Idaho, and I'm going to bring him on. His name is Michael Mumford. Make sure I get the right guy. There he is. That's Michael. How's it going, buddy? You unmuted? Yes, you are.
Good. I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
So yeah, Mike's from Idaho, and you were mentioning a little earlier that you used to live in another area that's within our realm up in Western Washington.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Seattle. And then I think when I was probably 9, I moved to Curlew, Washington, which is kind of up north there.
Yeah.
It's actually, relatively close to Potholes as far as the drive goes, not too far. It was kind of interesting. I never fished it in high school. I fished like Banks Lake and Palmer a lot, but and so I was like Banks Lake is sort of home court advantage a little bit for me.
Yeah, and we're doing that one later this season with KFNW. So yeah, that'll be cool.
Pretty excited about that one. It's my favorite lake, and so that one's going to be pretty cool. But most of my fishing, like where I grew up fishing, was Eastern Washington. Banks Lake was. I would go as soon as I got my first truck. I had a 12-foot aluminum. I would paint till during the summers. I'd paint till Friday. Leave for Banks Lake. It was like a 2.5-hour drive. Just sleep in the truck. Fish Saturday, Sunday, and then drive early in the morning to get back to work. But I do that. I remember one summer I did it like every single weekend. I would kind of swap between Banks and Palmer, and fishing for those big smallmouth and largemouth in there.
Yeah, that's fun. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then Mike took a year off last year. you got married and
Got married.
kind of focused on sturgeon fishing for a while since you weren't doing the tournament thing for a year with which is understandable, with a new marriage and everything.
Oh yeah.
But I joked with you that did you even remember how to bass fish after sturgeon fishing so much?
That's kind of how it felt. I think last year I just kind of wanted to dedicate the year to spending some time with my wife and going camping and kind of doing that thing. She's really, I mean, I don't think a lot of people understand. I think everybody listening to this understands, but there's a lot of sacrifice really for your
Oh yeah,
significant other. Where, especially like me, I like to practice, and so I'll go down on Wednesday or Tuesday before the tournament, and then you know before too with Kayak Fish Northwest, you could fish Oregon, you could fish the Washington events, and I'd fish all the Idaho events. So I'd
oh
normally
yeah,
kind of grab one or two of those events and fish the West Coast Championship.
down at
Um,
Clear Lake.
then
Yep,
you have the native tournament. I remember one year I went to Clear Lake, I think 3 times, Clear Lake, California. And so to me, it kind of made sense. Like we're getting married. It was I'd done 3 years of it. And I kind of had some goals for sturgeon fishing. Like I really wanted to break 8 feet. And so I just kind of took that year as an opportunity to go camping and then catch a couple 8 footers, which I did.
that's cool.
Steve Carroll helped me out a lot with that there at Snake
He's the
River.
pro. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He's taught me a lot about sturgeon fishing. He's quite the guy. Like he's caught, you know, 9 footers out of his kayak. And so,
he's got
um,
that famous video that he shot when he was out
yeah,
with somebody. It went viral and it was crazy. I mean, that was like a 10-foot sturgeon or something, and it jumped in front of the kayak, about 10 feet in front of the kayak, and it's as big as the kayak.
it's an unbelievable video. I remember watching it like
It
way
is.
before I met him. I remember watching that video, and then when I met him, we were talking about it and stuff, and I didn't realize it was him. And
Yeah.
when he told me, I was almost like to me, he's got famous. I was like, that was insane. Like, it was cool. So I picked his brain and I got into a bunch of sturgeon last year, but it definitely showed for the first event. I feel like I feel like you really when you're doing a lot of tournaments, not you kind of like as the year progresses too, you you're kind of in tune with the fish, kind of where they're at, in the staging process, as far as going into the summer pattern and fall pattern, and you get dialed in with flipping or using forward facing sonar even, where to make those really accurate casts. And first practice day, I'm flipping trees, and I think it was like first cast, I my reel gets all messed up, and I get a good bird's nest on it. The worms inside of a tree. I'm just like, dang, it has been a little while. You take a year off of bass fishing, and it shows.
Well, uh, maybe it felt like it showed to you, but you certainly came back and showed that you still had some bass fishing chops. You had a really good day on potholes. Um, you had let's see, I just posted it. You had a total of, let's see if I can find it here real quick.
It was 387.
387 inches. I was going to say how many fish it was. I just posted that. Where is it? I think you had 27 fish or something like that. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Yeah, you had, I was right, 27 fish, 387 and a quarter inches. You won $2,674 plus a Boggs Footwear gift card for a free pair of boots or shoes. Um, I mean, that's a damn good day on just about anywhere. What are let me see where you fall in our records here real quick. No limit records. You're up there, man. You're right up there at how many inches did we say? 387.
Yeah, 387.
That's the sixth best no limit we've had in any no limit since, not counting the national. Well, no, that is counting the national. The national's the record. I mean, that guy last year caught 1,300 inches.
It doesn't even sound fun, to be honest.
He said, oh,
Yeah.
that was tough.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see.
No,
Yeah. It was,
I was
but yeah, you're
thinking
fifth out of all time. I mean, you're right behind Lake Gunnersville, two Susquehanna River events, Saginaw Bay, Michigan, and that national. That's the only ones who beat you. I mean, you actually beat Sita by a little bit on Umatilla a couple years ago. He had a heck of a. I got the thumbs up. Great. He had a hell of a day on
I
the
remember
Columbia
that. I was
River
there
back
for
in
that.
23. He had 374 and three quarters. I mean, that's impressive. That's super impressive. Uh, let's
It
see.
was like it was like a 9 to 5. I felt like I
Oh
was just
yeah.
putting in that putting in that work. Um, yeah, it was fun.
Let's see if I can get this up here so we can see it. It always seems to pop up in the wrong place, but that's Josh Howard, KFNW angler. He wasn't there, unfortunately. In fact, that's what he said in his other misses. He's sad he missed the tournament, but yeah, he said 27 bass. That's impressive, and it is. It's super impressive. Um,
I felt like I could have caught more. Really, like I was we had the two tournaments going on, and so I did go big fish hunting for a little while once I had a lead. Um, and so I kind of wonder if I would have just stayed there and kept going, if I could have gotten to the 400s a little bit, but because I probably
I
took
mean, you
off
were
with
one fish away.
yeah, it's pretty close, but
14 incher. You were there.
yeah, yeah, I was I think I spent like 2 hours or an hour and a half running around, throwing a chatterbait, kind of doing the stuff that I felt like I could catch a bigger fish to try to grab an hour or do a little bit better in the KFNW tournament. But I was pretty, with how practice went, I was pretty set on committing to the native no limit.
You talked to me a little bit about that at the event, and I found that really fascinating. I was somebody's TJ saying hey, Mumphy.
TJ is my guy. We camped together the whole time and
That's
stayed at a
great.
little
He's
cabin.
a great guy. And then Brandon Hua says, "Unreal day of ripping lips." That's a lot of ripping. I hope they're not all ripped. But I found it really fascinating that you did something really smart. That didn't come out right.
Yeah,
You're
that's
capable
a
of coming
surprise.
up with smart things. That's not what I'm saying. But I thought it was really smart what you did because you said in pre fishing, you're having a tough time finding big fish, right?
Yeah, yeah. In practice, and part of that was I felt like conditions a little bit was it was Wednesday. It was blowing, pouring down rain, and so it kind of like hurt, like the wind pushing that rain into your face all day, and so it was really difficult to kind of get up shallow and flip trees or even throw a chatterbait really correctly. And so I think first day of practice, I actually had this spot pinned. Obviously we all do our research beforehand,
Sure.
and when I was looking at it on a map on a depth chart, it looked like a really good staging area, kind of where I thought they would be. And so it was set up right before a flat, in about 15 feet of water, and then it had a pretty aggressive slope. And generally, you'll see those females will eventually kind of move up there, and they'll sit on that, getting ready to move up
Waiting. Yeah.
onto beds. And what what kind of surprised me about it too is when I got there was it had a hard bottom, and so whereas a lot of the other stuff didn't have a hard bottom, and I think that was really the key to the tournament. I found it the first day of practice, hard bottom. I could see them with forward facing sonar, um, and they were everywhere. And so it was like you'd pan left to right, and they were in groups of
Just
two
fish
to
everywhere.
three
Yeah.
fish everywhere. And so in practice, I was kind of caught a few of those. I think I caught some 14s and 15s, and then I ran around some more Tuesday or Thursday, because I didn't really like the size there. I went to a different ramp. I think it was a state park ramp. It's
Yeah.
kind of the same deal, like real windy. I didn't catch a fish at the state park ramp. I was really struggling. Relaunched into the river there.
Yeah.
Um,
That
caught,
little one. Mm-hmm.
it was nice. There was no wind. Me and TJ went in there and caught some smallmouth in there, but same deal. Like they were even smaller than largemouth I was catching. So Friday, last practice day, I just decided like, okay, the size is there. I've always wanted to win a native event. I've never done very well at native events, and so I was like, I'm gonna go expand on my area, which is what I always like to do on your last practice day. Is if you have a spot, go figure out a rotation that you could run through.
And a
Uh,
backup close by. Yeah.
exactly. So I went out there, checked it out. My fish were still there. That was the other thing I was concerned about was,
Sure. If they were
with the
moving.
weather changing, it's like during spawn, it's so volatile. And so I ran around and I only found one other spot and I covered miles. One other spot that was set up similarly. Um, and I thought that was kind of interesting. It was a pretty unique spot really compared to everything around it. And they weren't piled up like that. Like if there was any fuzz on the bottom, they weren't stacked up.
Got it.
And so that
Well,
was
let
a
me
big,
let me pull up a page here and we'll look at this a little bit. I want to give people an idea of what you did. So here's the standings, and this is what's crazy. Like we have a 14-inch minimum, right? And you'll see Michael's biggest fish was a 15 and a half. So he really was targeting fish that were just big enough to count because, I mean, anytime you can catch multiple fish, that's going to do better than a big fish, right? If you can catch two 14s, that's going to beat every single bass you're going to catch, at least up in this part of the world, and even pretty much anywhere in the country. You're not going to catch a 28-inch bass very often. So that's what I like about your approach here. You went with the fish that were going to be plentiful, those fish between
yeah.
14 and 15 and a half, and just caught a slew of them. And usually people in this event, they fish like they're fishing a 5-fish bag. And then they just try and get some smaller fish, but they're always looking for that big fish to jump in to maybe win a power hour. And you kind of took a very different approach. That's sort of the same thing Sita did a few years ago on Umatilla. He was drop shotting for smallies, and they weren't huge, but they were big enough. And he just caught a bunch of them. And then the same event, Josh Duggar throws a spook out there and catches a 23-inch smallmouth. So just different approaches. And you were the only one who kind of seemed to really focus on that. And as you pointed out, you didn't place in the KFNW event because you had plenty of fish, but they just weren't big enough. Other people were catching some bigger fish, but clearly they weren't catching anywhere near as many as you. Chris Williams was the closest, and you can't see it on Tourney X here, but he only had 16 fish. So he had half as many fish as you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the strategy. I mean, I knew that I knew I could go in there and crack them, and I knew I could stay on them all day. And so going into the tournament, I was like, I'm just gonna keep the pressure on all day, and I really don't think anybody could catch me because I could just put them in the boat too fast. And there was times where I was flipping them into the boat, putting them on the board, taking a picture as quick as I could, and tossing them back like it was as fast as I could. Because a lot of them are 13.75, and they don't go. And so I had that many scorables, but I probably caught another 20 that didn't
They were
score,
under 14. Yeah.
that were under 14. But using forward facing sonar, I was able to tell a little bit the size, and so I would kind of try to keep it away from the small ones and target the bigger ones. And that was definitely useful as far as saving time and just trying to catch the scorables. But it was one of my favorite tournaments, truly. Like
That's cool.
it was an awesome time. And most tournaments, you want the big ones, and so
That's
you would
right.
just leave that spot and go try to find something. But
Well, it's fun
being
and different. Like I've fished some events where you just can find a bunch of those medium-sized fish, and you're like, these aren't going to get me on the podium, right? but here they,
Yeah.
they really can, which is
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is cool. I did a little math while you were just spouting those numbers. You caught a keeper about every 17.7 minutes. So
Yeah.
about every 18 minutes, you were catching a keeper. And then, like you said, I'm sure you caught a lot of tens, 11s, 12s, 13s that weren't
Yeah, it
gonna
was
weren't gonna make it.
there was so many back-to-back fish, like where I would catch, there was I think at one point I had six back-to-back casts that I caught a fish. It was like bang, 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 like where I was laughing. I was just out there by myself, laughing to myself like this is so much fun. Like I don't like,
That's awesome.
it's almost comical. It's so fun.
Let's see. Do I have a? Well, here's another little picture of you with your
That
with your
was
big check and your plaque.
That means a lot to me, honestly. This tournament means a lot to me. I've had two native. I've done two or three. I think three. I've done three native events, and Clear Lake. I went, drove the 11 hours, and I goose egged on Clear Lake for the native event a couple years ago, and then for the one in
That was a tough
Umatilla,
year. I was at that event. That was tough.
it was brutal.
I
For
caught
the
one.
Umatilla, you got one. At least you caught one.
It was a big
It's
one.
better,
I mean, it was about
it's
a
better
19 or something, but it was just one.
better than a goose egg.
Yeah.
And then I did the year before that. I didn't practice and I showed up and same thing. I blanked, and so this one was like I feel like I got to take out my frustration on these fish for the last couple of years and just beat on them. So
Well, that's cool. It's a great story. I mean, and to we knew Potholes had some real potential. That's why we did the first one there back in 2022, and one of the first ones, the first year doing the native events. We only did four that year, and Potholes was one of them. Of course, that time the weather was horrible. It was like 112 degrees. It was terrible. So we didn't get quite those numbers. But it's cool to see Potholes really show out like that. It makes me wonder, if other people. It sounds like you found a couple of unique spots where they really were just ganged up, and that was your secret.
yeah, it was definitely. I think it would have been harder for other. I'm sure there was more spots like that on the lake, of course, but
Yeah,
I
it's a
covered a
big
lot of
lake.
water, and it was pretty unique. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't like you could just cruise around and find a spot like that, and they were just here and there. It was fairly rare, and so I knew if I got, I was kind of surprised that nobody, there wasn't anybody else with
nobody else
me.
found it. Yeah,
No, it was far enough away too. It took me. I didn't start
yeah,
fishing till I think 5 or 10 minutes past lines out or lines in, and so I think that helps too. As far as like most people don't want to, once lines in starts, they want to start fishing.
yeah. It
Um,
feels like if you're just traveling, you're not
yeah,
you ain't gonna catch a fish, right? But yeah, and for people that don't know, this is a big reservoir. It's easily like 12, 15 miles across in every direction, and it's a big weird shaped lake as well. It's where a
it's
glacier dragged across the ground, and that's why it's called potholes. It's got all these little holes in it, which end up being dunes. But the water was so high. My understanding from most of the people that were out in the dunes, there weren't really any dunes. There was like maybe a little humps here or there poking up or a tree, but that's about it.
it's pretty intimidating.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at most lakes on a map, and you can kind of point out and look at like this looks good, that looks good, and
that's
and
right.
kind of like where I'll start. This when you open it up, it's like where do you start? Like I don't know where to start.
Yeah,
Like it all looks the same. And you kind of just have to go out there and just go fishing
yeah,
and cover a lot of water. And I think that's a story I heard from basically everybody is everybody covered a lot of water, and that was kind of the ticket as far as like finding fish and finding some of the bigger ones. But just trying to figure the lake out, you got to put in some miles. And I only I got probably 1% of the lake
oh
figured
yeah.
out. It is
You'd have
complicated.
to spend a month to cover that lake. There's
Yeah,
just so much different stuff in there.
yeah. It's a confusing one, um, but it's really cool at the same time. It's
It
kind of
is.
fun that it's
Yeah.
that way.
That's great. Yeah, and in the summer, it changes a lot then. That's when there's lots of those dunes. There's like these sand
Mhm.
dunes and willows and other things. And then there's a whole bunch of weed mats too. So when we did that summer one, like some people were just going out and punching mats. So
Yeah.
very different techniques you can do there. And Kyle Zemke, who fished this event, he won it when we did it back in 2022, and he won it with all smallmouth. I mean, there are smallmouth in there. They didn't really show up much in that event. Kyle fished Saturday as well, and he was one of the very few, maybe the only one with an all smallmouth bag. He's sort of a smallmouth specialist, and
Yeah.
he caught some good smallmouth, but nothing big enough to really compete. Not in terms of volume or in terms of size. They were good sized smallmouth, but not big enough to compete with some of the bigger fish that people were catching, 19s and 20s in largemouth.
I was nervous about him. I was like, Kyle normally finds him. He's
Yeah,
good. He's a hammer.
when
And
Kyle's on it, he's hard to beat. He will when
yeah.
he knows where the fish are, and he's throwing his own lures mostly, little buggers and
Mhm.
everything else. And yeah, he's a hell of an angler.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I kind of had the smallmouth bite in the back of my mind a little bit. But I didn't want to commit too much. I kind of figured that largemouth would be what, this time of year, what it would take to get it done. And, but at the back of my mind during practice, I was like, gosh, should I try to go see if you could stack numbers up? Because
For the no
generally,
limit, it's usually smallmouth is almost a better bet than largemouth for the no limit.
yeah, it is. That's what I was thinking was like, if you could find a pile of smallies, you could win this no limit deal. But
Those
my,
those records I was looking at. Let me look at that because right above you was Lake Gunnersville, so that was largemouth for sure. And then you had two Susquehanna events. That was smallmouth. Saginaw Bay. That was smallmouth. So the only largemouth event that beat you on your numbers, your no limit numbers, was Lake Gunnersville. I mean, come
yeah,
on.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty,
like
I feel like
iconic lake in the country.
yeah,
I was
it kind of
born right
shows
there
that
actually.
we got,
Yeah,
awesome fisheries over here too.
I know. It's
And
funny when we talk
we
to
get
people in the
stuff in a lot.
southeast. They're like, "Oh, you've got bass up there? What do you?" I'm like,
Yeah, it's they don't get it. Like
"No,
we have plenty of bass. We got beautiful lakes up here, and I think a lot of people forget that. Most people think we're just like smallmouth. That's all we got, but
that's
no,
right."
we have plenty of smallmouth, and
And we
I
do
think
have
it.
world class smallmouth, but
We
uh,
do.
you just proved that largemouth can hold their own too, at least in numbers.
Yeah, you might
Maybe
not
not as
catch those
big
10,
as Lake Gunnersville,
12
but
pounders,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, like 100%, you could beat Gunnersville on that lake for sure. Like
yeah.
if I would have put my foot down a little on the gas a little bit more, I could have got him. But
I think you did
um,
it just right. I
yeah,
think you stuck to your guns, did what you planned to do. I was impressed that you adapted your plan that way. That you were there pre-fishing and you said, you know what? I'm just going to shoot for the fences with 14s and 15s. I think I can do it.
yeah, yeah. That was the one concern that I had, and the only concern really was catching too many 13.75s because there
Oh
were
yeah,
so
yeah,
many that were just short of 14 in practice that I was like,
totally.
I could catch 8 back to back that don't score. But
We have run
I got
into that. We have run into that
yeah,
exact problem you're describing. And, we did an event up here on the John Day River a few years ago, and it had a 14-inch minimum. And everybody I talked to, I fished that event, and everybody I talked to was like, I'm catching 13 and a halves and 13 and three quarters, and I'm not catching a single 14. So a lot of people were skunked, even though they'd caught, 20 fish, 20, 30 fish.
I
But
think
they were
that's
all
what
little.
makes the no limit kind of special. Like I'm glad that they have the 14-inch minimum because 14 inches is getting to the point where it's like they're generally not like at least for largemouth like you're not going to catch a million of them.
Right,
You could go into a place and
right.
catch a million 12
Eights or
inchers.
nines. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
so it does make it a little it makes it hard to
it
kind
does.
of get into, a bunch of those 14, 15s and keep them in. So I had a little luck on my side and then definitely kind of trying to catch the bigger ones I think went a long ways. because yeah, there's a lot of little ones in there. I don't
Oh
know how
yeah.
many fish were piled up in those spots, but hundreds. Like it
Well,
was
yeah,
wild.
they're when they're smaller, there's more of them for sure. To be
Yeah.
really honest with you about that 14, we did not want to judge
Oh yeah.
the numbers we would have gotten in a no limit at 10, 11, 12 inches or something like that. I mean, that would have been insane just judging it. So that's why we settled on 14. We all talked
14
about
was.
that. Yeah,
It's kind of like the MLF. It's the same deal. Like
it is.
you
It's
don't want to make
similar.
it
Yeah.
you don't want to make it too easy. And I remember thinking like halfway through the day, I had like caught like I think there was three back to back that scored. And so it was like you guys got a picture and then a picture and a picture within like 5-6 minutes. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, I kind of feel bad for these guys. Like they
Oh
got their
yeah,
hands full
they were
scoring.
cranking. They were cranking. I
Yeah.
was judging the KFNW event, and there were two judges working on the native event, and we were comparing notes because it's a lot of the same fish, and we had to be careful if there was a deduction or something like that. We had to compare. So I was keeping up with them, but yeah, she's a machine. The main judge was just cranking them out all day long,
Shoots fat.
nonstop.
Yeah. I feel like, I would get the notification, sometimes 5-10 minutes after I posted, that it was
Yeah.
accepted. And so,
Well,
yeah,
it
it was
helps
cool.
when you're at the top because Tourney X tends to sort it that way.
Oh,
It tends to sort the people that are higher in the leaderboard, and those get judged a little sooner than the ones that are down. People who've caught one or two fish don't get judged for a while sometimes,
that makes
just
sense.
just by the way Tourney X sorts it.
Yeah, it was efficient. Definitely. I mean, a lot of other people caught a lot of fish. And so there's a lot to judge.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a ton for joining me tonight to talk about it. And it's great to see you back out fishing with us, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to do this year with KFNW as well as Native. You've already shown what you can do with Native this year, so yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what you can do with KFNW. But I'm looking forward to watching you and being there.
I'm excited
Thanks.
to compete against all the hammers, and it's going to be a
Yes,
fun year. I'm doing them all. And so
that's
definitely
great.
check out Northwest Tackle. All my
I was
baits,
going to
I
ask you
post.
if there's anybody you want to thank. So yeah, Northwest Tackle, who's a KFNW sponsor as well, and
Yeah.
you're on their team.
Yep. Great guy over there. And I got all my mooch minnows from them. And so definitely, that's a great bait if you like to use forward facing sonar. That was kind of my key bait. That was a forward facing, was the mooch minnow. It was the 2.5 and 3.5. And then
I love those little
VMC.
baits. They get underrated. Those little baits can be killer.
Yeah, I love that size. I like 3.5 is like perfect.
After throwing
Um,
2.8s. Yeah,
yeah, 2.8 is awesome. You could even catch crappie and stuff with them.
sure. Yeah,
Um, and then a Megabass Vision 110 Junior, and I had it in the trout color, and that was also for those suspended fish was really good. He's got a great collection of Megabass jerkbaits. So
that's great. Well, super. Thanks for joining me.
thanks for
And
having me.
I'm sure we'll have you back on the KFNW Current podcast sometime soon, too.
I hope so.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
See you.
See ya. Michael Mumford. Wow. What a great story. And hell of an angler. Good to see him on here. So, for my next guest, we're going to talk about the Power Hour. So, this is kind of a cool story. I'll bring him on before I tell you the full story. We'll get him on here so you can see. Anthony Arasas won Power Hour number 3, the third, and he caught a 20 1/4 inch largemouth, which was the biggest largemouth of the competition. Let's bring him on and talk to him. Let's see. Oh, I muted him. I'll unmute you, and then we'll bring you on board. Did I assign you already? Here we go. I think you'll show up now. Anthony,
Hey, how's it going, Marv?
it's going good. How are you?
All right, I'm good. Thank you.
That's great. Anthony informed me he's an Army vet, and his wife is in the Air Force, And like I told you at the awards, I thank you and your wife both for your service. I really appreciate you. And it was great getting to meet you and talk to you at Potholes. I told a little of this story at Potholes, but of course, all these people, these thousands of people who are watching this live stream, didn't get to hear that story, so I'm going to share it again. When we kind of came up with this format, Chris Cantwell was the one who initially came up with the basic idea. He was down at ICAST with Native and was talking about, well, we should do a big bass every hour. And I think the idea was $1,000 an hour. That was sort of the goal. And then that morphed into, well, that every hour and a no limit on top of that. So both at the same time, which is interesting. It kind of forces anglers to think, am I going after big fish or am I going after numbers? Just like we were talking to Michael about. And the reason we did that, the power hour especially, was we're trying to attract anglers who maybe hadn't fished any tournaments or hadn't fished very many tournaments, because it can be a little bit intimidating to come out and fish against a bunch of hammers who know how to put fish in the boat. And you're like, well, I'm going to pay this entry fee and fish, and then I'm just going to embarrass myself. I'm not even going to be able to get anywhere close to that. And so we find that people don't sign up because it's just too intimidating for them. And so with the power hour, we thought, well, anybody can catch a really good fish in 1 hour. You can get lucky even, but even if it's not luck, if you're putting skill into it, you still have to, a big fish is hard to catch. They're hard to land and they're hard to get photos of and all that stuff. And that's with kayak fishing, that's a big part of the equation, is getting a good photo. So we were trying to attract newer anglers to the sport. And I was thrilled when I saw your picture and saw you getting involved. I'm like, this is a guy who's new to kayak fishing. And I think we had talked through email too a little bit before. And I knew you were kind of new to it. And I didn't know you were actually a first timer until you told me at the event. You're like, yeah, this is my first time ever. And I'm like, wow, that's just freaking awesome. If we can get a first timer out there, catch a big fish and win, then that's just, that's icing on the cake. That really helps us with what we're trying to promote here. So let me pull up some numbers here before we go too much further. Here it is. Okay. So you caught a 20 1/4 inch largemouth, like we said. You won $800 plus a $250 Suffix VMC gift card. But maybe more cool than that, you won a Native Watercraft Titan X 12.5 in Wave Strike Blue. And we had it for you up there. You got to see it. And then I took it away because you didn't really have a good way to carry it home with you at the moment. So I left it with one of our directors up there, and you'll be able to pick it up. He's not too far away from you, a couple hours away from you. So that was the plan there. But let me pull up some, let me put you on, let me put on the web page here. Let's see, there we go. That'll work. And let me pull up the web page. Here we go. We're back on Facebook here, but here's a picture of you that I took.
Yes, sir.
With the kayak. You remember what it looked like?
Oh yeah, I've been looking it up, looking out pros and cons, how to go about it. It's definitely, yeah.
It's great. I had one for 2 years. I'm in a Hammer this year, but I did have a Titan X for 2 years, and it was a great boat. I really loved it. It's super stable. Like you can dance a jig on that thing, stand on your head, no problem. A little more stable than what you were using, which people are going to see here in just a minute. So there you are with your plaque and your check, and here you are with that fish, and that's the kayak you were in. So
yeah,
those of us who kayak fish, in a sit inside, they can be a bit tippy here and there.
Yeah.
And I showed it to Jim Davis, the guy who's got your kayak right now. I showed him the picture. He said, "Oh my God!" He said, "The board is wider than the kayak."
Yeah.
Because you had to put the board up on top.
Oh yeah.
And then put the fish on there. And those of us who kayak fish a lot know that, the fish take a toll every now and then, and they flip off the board before you can get a good photo. They just will shake off and go right into the water. I lost a 23 a couple of years ago, early in the year, that I got on the board. I got a picture of it, and then it flipped off the board, knocked the phone out of my hand. Oh, it was a mess. And it was like my first time out after the winter, and so I was unprepared. I didn't have my tether. It was terrible. So I'm just glad you got a good photo of it before.
Oh my goodness!
Before it got away. Luckily, those largemouth are not as cantankerous. But that's such a cool photo. I'm glad we got it, and it's a good photo. Your identifier needs to be fully in the photo. I will critique that a little bit. It's hanging off a little, but we could see the full identifier code and everything, so you're okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty exciting. And you had 2 fish, right? That was what you caught.
Yes. So I did catch a couple more that unfortunately
They were too small.
didn't make any points, but
here they are. So you had a 16 as well. Oh, a smallmouth. Your other was a smallmouth. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Is that
It
smallmouth?
The thing was a large.
That's a largemouth. It says smallmouth, but it's a largemouth. It was just categorized wrong.
Yeah.
But very cool. So tell us the story of the. I've sort of built it all up now of what you did. So let me get you back where people can see you on the screen, and tell us the story of that fish. You said you weren't even far from the ramp, because that's a paddle kayak. You got to get out there and paddle.
Yeah, and we didn't do much practice. We didn't get any practice, as to say. The last time I did fish Potholes was probably a month before the tournament, and that was a spot me and my buddy actually caught fish there. So we immediately thought, like, dude, let's just go to where we know we caught fish, something we know. And me and my buddy, we are just purely hobbyists. It was our first time competing and everything. It was nerve-wracking, especially launch morning. Oh my God, everyone, it looked like they had Christmas lights on their raft and antennas. It looked like a spaceship, and I didn't know what we're doing. And I was like looking around like, oh man, let's just have fun. That's what we're doing. We love fishing, so let's just have fun. We didn't even think much about winning or anything like that. We're just trying to have fun, get the experience out, see what we have to do,
right,
where to get whips about it. And and fortunately the spot we chose was hitting. I caught a couple fish, and I'm noticing that on the drop shot it was hitting, and then they just stopped biting. So I switched to a spinner. I didn't have any chatterbaits. I snapped the line and I lost my chatterbait. So and first cast on my spinner, and I thought I hit a snag, but it tugged back hard, and I was like, oh my God. It pulled my raft forward, and I was like, oh my God, this is a biggins. And I remember when I got it close to the boat, I was like, please don't shake. And by the girl, like, oh my God.
And when they come up and shake their head out of the water like that, it's like, oh boy. Oh, that's a big fish.
Yeah, so surprisingly, when I laid him down, he was a really calm bass compared to the others I did take pictures of their flapping.
The big ones usually are.
Really?
Yeah, the big largemouth usually are calm. Certain places they're not, like Clear Lake. They're angry down there. They're madder than a smallmouth. They will shake and bite and everything else. But big largemouth usually are laid back, but not always.
Cool. Yeah, so I remember thinking, like, you probably got caught a bunch of times, and you know the drill. Like, I'm just here to take a picture of you and let you go.
I wonder that too. They're like, come on, just get it over with. Get me back in the water.
Because even when I released him, he didn't, like, go off. He just oh, like, oh my God, my buddy got a video of me releasing. He was like, and I was like so slow and majestic. It was my PB. It was the biggest fish I've
I would
actually
hope.
caught since I
Yeah,
started bass fishing. The kind of fishing I did, I started fishing 3 years ago. Started doing trout fishing, just set it
sure.
and forget it type thing. And I did a little sturgeon fishing. It was definitely fun. I didn't catch a big one. I caught a 36 incher.
Big
Then I
enough.
stopped fishing. Yeah, I stopped fishing, got into hunting, and my buddy got me into bass fishing. Didn't know the difference, but man, it's the best kind of fishing. It's
It's
so
fun.
addictive.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
fun. Yeah.
yeah. I'm really new at it. This is like my second year of bass fishing, and I'm learning. I'm still learning. I do a little research, and but hearing Mike talk about staging and all that just shows that there's obvious
Yeah.
levels to the
All
game, and
the stuff
I'm
that
very
happens up
excited.
in here. Exactly.
Yeah, makes me want to keep doing it, keep doing more, and see if I can pick the brains of
Well,
these pros that do it.
you've got the right sled to do it now. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
To do
I
it
was
like a
like, oh
pro.
my God,
That's
no
right.
way.
Well, it's cool. I love you. I just love the story. That's what Brandon just commented behind this. It's fantastic. We love to see people that are less experienced at tournament
Yeah,
fishing
and
come in and do really well. It makes us feel great about this concept and what we're doing.
for sure. And that concept you guys develop, I think it really you hit it right on the nose. For me, that was the reason why me and my buddy joined. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, we can catch the big fish, man. We can just try. 8 hours, that's a lot, you just try it. And I really think you guys did a great job in
Oh well,
doing
thanks.
that. Yeah, I would like knowing what I know now. I probably wouldn't have done it. Like seeing what I was going up against. That's like I
Well,
said,
some
launch
people were
morning.
close. There was a 19
Yeah,
and a quarter,
yeah.
couple of 19 and a quarters, couple of 19s. They were in the ballpark, but yeah, had a good inch on I think anybody else.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun experience, and definitely gonna be doing more. And yeah, it's a great experience. I love it.
That's great. That's just fantastic story. Um, did I hear you thinking? So you're in Eastern Washington now. Did I hear you say you're looking to move somewhere else
Yeah, like
after your
we've been here
wife's
a
tenure's
while.
done? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we've been here a while, and we're probably more likely. My wife's got to come down with orders, get ready to move. But I remember talking to you, hearing about the nationwide power hour and
Mm-hmm.
all these tournaments. I was looking at Tourney X, looking at all the tournaments they have. I'm like, oh man, so no matter where we go, as long as we're within the continental U.S., this is definitely something that can keep up.
Yeah. Well, that's the. I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I did want to talk about. Is we are doing the national event again, the National No Limit Big Bass Power Hour, and it coincides with our next tour event for KFNW down in 10 Mile Reservoir down on the coast of Oregon. A bit of a haul
Yeah.
for you, but
Mhm.
pretty far away. But worth it. It's a fantastic lake, and it's all largemouth in that lake. It's probably the best fishery in Oregon by reputation. That usually for largemouth certainly it kind of has that reputation. Not for smallmouth definitely, since there aren't any in there. But yeah, and so people can double dip on that one again. They can fish the tour event and they can also sign up for that and have a shot at big bass. What I've found, what I say all the time is, especially those middle hours, like yours was hour 3, and usually 1, 2, 3, those are good fish. Those are really good fish. And then what we find is like 4, 5, 6 even. That time of day when the fish just get they've been eating in the morning, I guess, and they kind of take it easy, and it's getting warmer, especially if it's in the summer or something. So the bite kind of drops off a bit. And we have seen 17s win a power hour, a number of them, not just in the Northwest. I mean, like all over the country, we've seen people win a power hour with like a 17. Well, it's not that unusual to catch a 17, right? Like a 20 up here, you're doing great if you catch one of those a year. But yeah, I mean, I usually will catch a few 17s a year. So yeah, that's possible. And when I was living in Arizona, I mean, 17s were common. I'd catch them every trip, basically. You could catch them. But yeah, they can win it. The national, it's going to be tough to win with a 17, but we had an angler up here fishing in the Northwest who was a quarter inch out of winning a power hour in the national, which is cool because those states like Florida and Alabama and Georgia and Texas and Arizona and California, they have some giant largemouth in those states.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough to compete. But the no limit side, we definitely compete. Up here we do for sure. We had somebody cash a check last year who fished the Columbia River and did well in the no limit. He didn't win it, but he didn't get 1,300 inches like that guy did. I think I said the other day that guy was in New York, but he's not. He's in Michigan. I got it backwards. But yeah, it was up in Michigan that he caught all those. Just crazy.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yep.
Well, I hope that you continue. I can't wait to see some pictures of you in your new kayak once you get it.
Yeah.
Once you get it
So
in.
we're definitely gonna be doing a little more tournament fishing. My wife already talking about the next one, and I didn't even plan the next one, and she's already talking about the next one. I'm like, okay, looks like I got her permission. So,
Well, that's great.
to go
Yeah,
for
you're
me.
only a couple weeks away from the opens, so that'd be a
Yes.
good one for you to go and do because that's also geared towards newbies. That's sort of pro-am style. We pair. It's a KF&W event. We pair a less experienced angler with a more experienced angler as a two-person team, and they go out and they can help each other, which usually they can't, but we allow them to help each other in that, just to get everybody on fish. And
Right.
it's a great event. We've found that people come out and fish that event that have never fished a tournament, and they do that, and they do okay. We one year we had a rookie come out and he won. He beat everybody.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's a good way to do it. It's a low entry fee. It's like $25 to enter.
Right.
And we've got some prizes we give out as well. So yeah, it's a fun way to get people involved in the sport that haven't done it. So yeah, we'd love to see you come and do that. And then yeah, if you want to make the haul down to 10 Mile, but we'll be back at Banks Lake, as Mike said, which isn't far from you at all. That's sort of up towards Spokane. So that's doable. And Lake Ponderay up in northern Idaho, that's probably not real far from you either.
No. Yeah. Well, I've actually fished Ponderay River, and right by near Lake Ponderay, it's got caught a lot of smallmouth. Me and my buddy go up there if we just need a bite. We need to fill bent rod. We'll go up to Ponderay River and
Nice. Nice.
smash some smallmouth.
Yeah, I love river fishing. It's a lot of fun. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Anybody you would like to thank? I'm sure you'd like to thank your wife.
Oh yeah, and of course my good buddy Marcus. He's the one that encouraged me to do the whole thing, and
That's
and
great.
I'll also thank you, man, for blessing me with the new kayak and native watercraft. Really
No
appreciate
problem.
everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, great. Hope to see you
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
at an event and maybe back on the podium again. That'd be
Oh
cool.
man, that would be awesome.
All right. Thanks so
All right,
much.
Marvin.
Good
All right,
night.
Bye.
Well, that's about all I've got for you tonight. Our two big winners for the Native Watercraft No Limit Big Bass Power Hour on Potholes Reservoir in Washington State. Like I said, we've got a couple of events coming up next weekend. If you're in the Northern California area, check out Lake Berryessa on Saturday. And if you're in Southern California or Arizona, Nevada, even Utah, come on down to Lake Havasu next Sunday and get on some No Limit or Big Bass Power Hour, whichever you prefer, whichever way you would like to compete. Thanks, and until next time, I'll see you later. Stay safe on the water.